Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today the endgame DLC for Battlefield 3 has finally been released on all platforms if you are a premium member. I've had a couple of hours to play with it so far, and I am really impressed. DICE has outdone themselves for this final DLC. The maps are a lot of fun to play, they flow very well, and essentially for today's video I just kind of want to give you guys my first impressions and why I'm loving it so far. So first off, the maps themselves are fantastic. The way that DICE has gone about constructing them is that they're very similar in size to Caspian Border or Operation Firestorm. And going into this, I kind of assumed that meant that action itself would be a little slower. It would take me longer to get from point A to point B. It would take me longer to find an enemy to kill, but that is not what I experienced at all. DICE has constructed these maps in such a way that they flowed in such a manner that I always felt like I was engaged in a firefight. I always felt like I was engaged in the battle. And while it wouldn't revolve around a capture point all the time like it does on Caspian, which is usually Hilltop, it was in between objectives. And what was cool about it is that it felt like I was playing Battlefield. This is gonna sound a little silly and stupid, but I was having nostalgic moments on these new maps that I've never played before, simply because it felt like I was playing a Battlefield game, which is something which I've never experienced on any of the previous DLCs. And I think that one of the contributing reasons to this feeling is that infantry and vehicle combat mix really well. If you want to fly around in a helicopter, you want to ride around in a tank or a motorcycle, you can do so and be really effective with it. But that isn't at the expense of infantry combat. It's not like everything is really wide out and open and you're just sniping infantry left and right. The way that they designed the maps is that if you want to play as an infantry unit the entire time, you can do so and also be really effective with it. There are plenty of trees, hills, rocks, buildings to block line of sight, and I had no difficulty moving from objective to objective, and I never really felt like I was out in the open and exposed, especially if you compare it to something like the Armored Kill DLC. So essentially, if you are looking for any type of gameplay, the endgame DLC is going to have it in spades. I also got a chance to play some Capture the Flag, and at first I was a little on the fence if I was going to like it or not. But after a couple of rounds, I was having an absolute blast. Essentially what happens is that both teams get really hunkered down, they get really defensive, and both sides kind of have a fortress going on. But that was okay with me because I was always playing offense, I was always trying to capture the enemy team's flag, and I would kind of skirt in with my motorcycle, get in behind enemy lines real fast, take out like 5-6 guys, and then I would have this just amazing firefights that I don't really experience on many of the other game modes. And what's cool about it is that they're always spawning behind their flag, and it's always like a continuous flow of enemies flowing in to try to defend it. So there's just continuous action all the time when you're playing on offense. And another thing I found really cool is that all of the classes have their distinct role. I saw that bipods were being deployed all the time with support players. They were defending the flags really well. C4 mines from engineers were scattered all over the place to make sure that motorcycles couldn't zip in and out. You had medics pushing on, trying to capture the objectives. You had recons sniping people that were on the points and also placing down spawn beacons because your only one spawn is behind your flag, so you always wanted to have a forward spawn with those spawn beacons. It really seemed like all the classes had their distinct role, and it worked really well. And something I cannot wait to do is to squad up with a bunch of my friends and so break into those highly defensive flags. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait to play more Capture the Flag. As for the dirt bike, which I'm sure plenty of you are interested in hearing about, they're pretty cool. I'm not gonna say that I'm highly impressed by them any means. They're not as fast as the ATV, or they don't seem to be as fast. Those things just fly across the screen, but they're a lot more agile. You can turn a lot faster, you can pretty much stop on a dime. They're gonna be a great way to move you and one of your buddies to capture a flag, to get to a different objective. The jumps themselves were pretty cool. I wouldn't say that they are insane. DICE did not just make these things like unbelievable where you're gonna get huge air by any means, but there were some moments where I was catching some big air and I was like, damn, this is fun. So I'm sure people are gonna get a kick out of going off these jumps, getting big air. It's not like the centralized theme of the DLC, which I'm glad that that's not the case, but they are kind of scattered around everything, and in general, the motorcycle, you know, it's pretty cool. But yeah, guys, that is about it for my first impressions of the Endgame DLC. If you cannot tell already, I absolutely love it so far, and I'm gonna be providing a lot more content here in the near future. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Before I go, let me know what you think of it so far. Are you liking it as much as I am? Are you a little disappointed? Let me know down below. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.